Named after the Roman god Saturn, of course, same as the planet Saturn. Today's reading is one of those where it doesn't need any explanation. I've got one or two minor comments, but it really speaks for itself, and it's a good reading because it kind of encapsulates a lot of what we've been reading in the last however long you've been tuning into this. So let's just get on with it. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's called Holy Healing, Wholly Healing. First quote is from someone I'm sure all of you have heard of. If not, well, I'd be really surprised. Ralph Waldo Emerson from the 18th century, one of the most famous Americans in the 19th century, 1800s. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising up every time we fall. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising up every time we fall. Fail. Ernest Holmes says, the universe is a perfect, undivided whole, and healing can take place only when one is unified with it. And that was from the Science of Mind textbook, page 447. And this is from Rev Kelly, who says, spiritual leaders throughout the ages have taught us to have a daily spiritual practice. That may include meditating, reading, studying sacred works, journaling, praying, or any method that brings you closer to the divine. Or I would say, or any combination of all of those. There is no right way to engage in this practice. That is a really good point. It should be a living practice that changes as you do. So in other words, as you grow and learn, then you change your practice, or you change the way that you execute the practice. The lesson is to build the practice into our daily routine. And I think the ones of you who've been watching this for a while are good at Creative Life Spiritual Center or some place like it, Unity, Divine Science, or any positive, Christian teaching these days. It's just something that we encourage you to do. And if you go, honestly, I think you go to any place that is spiritual as well as religious, then they're going to say the same thing. Have a daily spiritual practice. I remember when I was a kid, and most people I talked to remember the same thing. We were taught to pray, to get down on our knees and pray for our mother, our father, our relatives, our siblings, and so on and so forth. So it's something that's been taught to us for a long time. But as we grow older, it changes in the way it actually gets carried out. And this is Rev Kelly again. She says, when life throws us a curveball, we often respond instinctively, not having the time or the wherewithal to ground ourselves and think through our reactions. Usually in hindsight, we see the gift in the trauma. The training we do in our daily spiritual practices strengthens our faith. Just like strong muscles improve your range of motion and enhance your balance, a daily spiritual practice does absolutely the same thing. Your range of motion may be the variety of life experiences with which you are able to stay grounded and balanced, and your ability to be a positive force for yourself and others in traumatic situations. We're here in this human form to heal, and I would say to grow. Our daily spiritual practice may not feel like healing or growing. However, this small daily progress lays the foundation for our path to wholeness. The strength and progress come when we are not in crisis. Just like an athlete training for a marathon, our spiritual practice is our everyday training to meet life's unexpected challenges. And that really is the basic message on how to live life. It's to have a daily spiritual practice. And remember the way that Jesus taught us, he taught us to pray, but he also taught us that when the house is built on a strong foundation, it withstands the storm. And this is exactly the same thing. And you remember the story of the wolf there, huffed and puffed and blew the house down. Why? Because it wasn't strong enough to withstand the wind, i.e., the storm. So, this is a basic message that you're going to hear on a regular basis. And I hope you never get tired of hearing it, because we all need to be reminded that we need to do our work every day. Just like an artist of any sort practices for hours and hours and hours and hours, we are spiritual artists. We practice every day. And when you add up all those small times each day, they come to hours and hours and hours. Well, it's a lifetime. As I said, I don't think this needs much explanation. I think it really speaks for itself. The only thing necessary for me is to give you the affirmation. I joyfully embrace my spiritual practice, knowing progress happens every day. And if at first you don't do it joyfully, say, I embrace my spiritual practice, knowing progress happens every day. Leave out the joyfully if it's not true, until it does become true. Okay. Tomorrow, Reverend Lisa will be on at 9:15. Creative Life Spiritual Center's service will be at 11, where you can go in person if you live anywhere near Spring, Texas. It's on Spring Stevener, or tune in on Facebook Live, and it will be a live broadcast. And I won't be there the next 3 weeks. Why? Because I am helping teach the class online, and it's just one of those things. But I will be checking in afterwards, and I will be reading tomorrow evening around about 5 p.m. Appreciate your attendance at these things. Appreciate your likes. And as I said, please give us some feedback. Please give us some feedback. Until next time, namaste.